My friend, we are living in a time when truth is being traded for tolerance. The greatest lie you'll ever face isn't the one that tempts you to do something evil. It's the one that convinces you to play small, all while sounding noble. It tells you, be humble, don't dream too big, stay safe, don't rock the boat. Sounds holy, right, sounds like wisdom, but underneath, it's fear dressed up in a robe of virtue. See, the world doesn't always stop you by saying, you can't. It often whispers, you shouldn't. And that is more dangerous because it feels right. Think about it. How many dreams have died, not because someone said, you're not capable, but because the voice inside said, wouldn't it be arrogant to try? The lie tells you that staying comfortable is wise. The lie tells you that lowering your expectations is maturity. The lie tells you that giving up on your vision is humility. But here's the truth. Humility is not shrinking your light. Humility is shining your light and knowing who gave it to you. Every breakthrough in history began when someone refused the lie, when someone chose courage over comfort, when someone realized playing small is not holy, it's disobedience to your potential. So here's my challenge to you today. When you hear the voice that says, stay safe, don't try, don't risk, don't grow, ask yourself, is this wisdom, or is it fear disguised as wisdom? Because the world's most dangerous lie doesn't destroy you instantly. It keeps you quiet, it keeps you safe, it keeps you ordinary, and I don't believe you were born for ordinary. The truth may sound risky, it may sound uncomfortable, but it will always lead you to freedom. My friend, don't let the most dangerous lie rob you of your calling. Safe will never satisfy your soul. Comfortable will never build your destiny. And sounding holy is not the same as being true. Step out. Risk, shine, because the world doesn't need another person who played it safe. The world needs you fully alive. Have you ever noticed how the things that hold us back rarely come looking like enemies? They don't come with flashing warning signs saying, danger, this will ruin your life. They come softly, gently, in words that sound like they're protecting you. They come as whispers from people you love, advice from voices you respect, and sometimes from your own thoughts in the quiet of the night. And because they sound noble, they sound holy, you accept them without question. You don't resist them because they don't feel like lies. They feel like wisdom. But they're not wisdom at all. They're invisible chains that keep you from stepping into the life you were born for. The first lie says, be humble, don't ask for too much, don't expect greatness. It will make you look arrogant. And suddenly you start lowering your standards, dimming your light, shrinking your desires. All in the name of humility. But real humility isn't thinking less of yourself, it's recognizing the gift you've been given and refusing to bury it. The second lie whispers, stay safe, don't risk too much. Playing it safe means you won't get hurt. But what it doesn't tell you is that safety comes at the price of suffocating your potential. Yes, risk comes with pain, but never trying comes with regret. And regret is far heavier than failure. Then comes the third lie, you shouldn't dream too big. People will laugh at you, they'll call you unrealistic. But let me ask you, who built every invention, every breakthrough, every revolution in history? It wasn't the people who kept their dreams manageable. It was the ones who dared to look ridiculous until they made the impossible possible. The fourth lie says, don't shine too brightly. Others will feel small next to you. But is your purpose to dim your light so others can stay comfortable in their shadows? No, your light was meant to spark courage in theirs. The fifth lie says, you don't have enough, you're not ready yet. You need more experience, more qualifications, more resources. And so you wait. You stall, you sit on your gift, but you'll never feel ready. Readiness isn't what launches you, courage is. And the sixth lie, it's the deadliest one. Who are you to try? You're not special. You're ordinary. But the very fact that you're alive in this moment means you are chosen for something greater than ordinary. Your existence itself is proof of purpose. The most dangerous lies don't come dressed in darkness. They come wrapped in light. Now let's keep going. The seventh lie tells you, lower your expectations. That way you won't get disappointed. It sounds like protection, but it's actually poison, because the person who lowers their expectations lowers their life. You don't avoid disappointment by expecting less. You avoid it by fighting for more. The eighth lie says, time has passed you by. You're too old. It's too late for you. But listen, if you're still breathing, your purpose hasn't expired. Time doesn't disqualify you, it prepares you. The ninth lie says, if it hasn't happened yet, it's never going to happen. But history proves again and again that breakthroughs come after long seasons of waiting. Delay does not equal denial. The 10th lie whispers, what will people think? They'll judge you. They'll reject you. But those who fear judgment end up living for applause that never truly satisfies. The only approval that matters is the one you feel when you know you're living true to yourself. The 11th lie says, don't take up too much space. Don't ask for too much attention. Be quiet, blend in, stay small. But no one was created to be invisible. Playing small doesn't make the world brighter, it only makes it darker. And the 12th lie, it's that voice that says, you tried once before and failed, so why bother trying again? Failure isn't the proof that you're done, it's the evidence that you're in the arena where life is built. Every failure is a teacher, and those who rise are the ones who learn. The most dangerous lies don't come dressed in darkness, they come wrapped in light. The 13th lie says, money, success, achievement, those things will corrupt you, so don't pursue them. But money and success don't corrupt a person, they only reveal who you truly are. If your heart is rooted in truth, resources in your hands become tools for impact, not corruption. The 14th lie whispers, you can't be both spiritual and ambitious, you have to choose one. But that's not true. Your ambition is not a betrayal of your spirit, it can be an expression of it. The 15th lie says, if you step out, people will say you've changed. Yes, they will, because you were not created to stay the same. Change is not betrayal, it's growth. The 16th lie warns, don't upset people. Don't make anyone uncomfortable, keep the peace. But peace built on silence and suppression isn't peace, it's prison. The 17th lie says, you're too broken, you've made too many mistakes, you've missed your chance. But scars don't disqualify you, they prove you survived, they give you a story, they make you relatable. And the 18th lie, it tells you, wait until you feel confident, then step out. But confidence doesn't come before, it comes after. Courage is the parent, confidence is the child. A lie that feels holy is the hardest to question. Because when something sounds righteous, when it's wrapped in words like humility, wisdom, or safety, who dares to challenge it? You don't want to look ungrateful, unwise, or rebellious, so you nod your head, you swallow it, and you carry it like truth, even when it's killing your potential. That's what makes it dangerous. If a lie sounded evil, you'd reject it instantly. But when it comes clothed in virtue, when it tells you to play it safe, be realistic. Don't want too much. You think you're being faithful when in reality you're being caged. And that cage doesn't look like prison bars. It looks like obedience. It looks like humility. It looks like wisdom. That's why so many people stay stuck their entire lives, not because they couldn't tell right from wrong, but because they couldn't tell holy from hollow. Not every good sounding advice is good for your destiny. Think about it. How many people have settled for average lives because someone they trusted said, be realistic, don't aim too high, don't risk too much. It sounds caring, doesn't it? It sounds protective, but what if that care was the very chain keeping you from your future? The truth is, advice can be comforting and still be completely wrong for your calling. People will project their fears onto you, and they'll disguise those fears as wisdom. They'll tell you to slow down because they never had the courage to speed up. They'll tell you to settle because they never believed more was possible. And if you're not careful, you'll inherit their limits as your life. Good-sounding advice can feel like protection, but in reality it can be the slow death of your destiny. You can't measure advice by how comforting it feels. You have to measure it by whether it leads you closer to who you were created to be. The danger is not in what is false, but in what is almost true. See, when something is completely false, your heart rejects it immediately. You know it doesn't belong. But when something is almost true, it slips past your defenses. It carries just enough truth to sound convincing, just enough wisdom to feel safe, and just enough holiness to silence your doubts. That's the trap. That's how people waste years of their lives believing half-truths that keep them small. Half-truths are more dangerous than lies because they don't just deceive you. They comfort you while they're deceiving you. They tell you you're being wise, when really you're being timid. They say you're being faithful, when really you're standing still. And you don't fight against it because it doesn't feel like the enemy. It feels like common sense. But common sense can become the strongest prison when it blinds you from uncommon destiny. Sometimes comfort disguises itself as wisdom. That's why it's so dangerous, because it doesn't feel like comfort, it feels like the smart choice. You tell yourself, I'm just being wise, I'm just being careful, I'm just being responsible. But deep down, you know the truth, you're just being comfortable. Wisdom pushes you toward growth, comfort keeps you where you are. Wisdom stretches you, comfort soothes you. Wisdom feels risky in the moment, but rewarding in the long run. Comfort feels safe in the moment, but suffocating in the long run. How many people have missed their destiny because they confused comfort with wisdom? They chose the easy road, thinking it was the wise road, only to look back years later realizing they never moved. Comfort is seductive because it feels right. It doesn't fight you, it lulls you. But if you stay there too long, it becomes a coffin for your potential. The easiest way to miss your potential is to believe a safe lie. Because safe lies don't shout, they whisper, they don't force you to stop, they gently persuade you to slow down. They convince you that staying small, staying hidden, staying quiet is the wise thing to do. But safe is a trap. Safe feels like protection, but it's really a cage with invisible bars. And the tragedy is this: most people never notice the cage until years have passed. They wake up one day and realize they traded their fire for comfort, their calling for convenience, their potential for predictability. Safe tells you, don't go after that dream, you might fail. Safe tells you, don't speak up, you might be judged. Safe tells you, don't step out, you might lose. And every time you listen, your potential shrinks a little more, until one day you've lived a life that was careful, but never powerful, protected, but never fulfilled. Safe enough to survive, but too safe to truly live. The world celebrates caution, but growth demands courage. From the time you were young, you were probably told things like, be careful, don't take risks, don't make mistakes, play it safe. And for a while it feels like good advice, because when you play it safe, you avoid embarrassment, you avoid pain, you avoid failure. But here's the truth, you also avoid growth. You avoid the very experiences that would shape you into who you're meant to be. Caution might win you applause from the world, because people love seeing someone who doesn't rock the boat. But courage is what changes the world. Courage is what turns ordinary lives into extraordinary legacies. And courage doesn't always look glamorous. In fact, most of the time it looks scary, it feels uncomfortable, it stretches you to the point where everything inside screams, go back to safety, but safety doesn't build destiny. Courage does. Every step of growth you'll ever take will demand courage, and if you wait for the world to cheer you on before you take it, you'll wait forever, because the crowd claps for caution, but heaven applauds courage. Fear often borrows the language of faith. It doesn't always show up screaming, don't do it. Sometimes it shows up whispering, wait on God. It doesn't always say, you're going to fail. Sometimes it says, be wise, don't rush. And because the words sound spiritual, because they sound patient, you believe it's faith speaking when really it's fear in disguise. That's how fear works. It doesn't always try to scare you. Sometimes it tries to sound holy. It tells you you're being faithful by standing still, when in reality you're being paralyzed. It tells you you're being obedient by not moving, when in reality you're being silent out of terror. Faith says, step forward even when you don't see the full picture. Fear says, stay put until everything looks perfect. And here's the tragedy, many people spend their whole lives waiting for certainty that never comes, calling it faith, when it was fear holding the pen all along. Fear doesn't need to shout if it can simply sound like faith. It will keep you stuck while you think you're being strong. The lie sounds like protection, but it's really limitation. It tells you, don't go too far, you might get hurt. Don't dream too big, you might be disappointed. Don't step out, you might fail. On the surface, it feels like a shield, like it's saving you from pain. But in reality, it's not shielding you, it's shrinking you. It's not keeping you safe, it's keeping you small. Protection that locks you inside is not protection at all. It's imprisonment. Think about it. What if every great breakthrough, every great invention, every great act of courage in history had been silenced by that lie? we would have no progress, no change, no light in the world. And yet countless individuals live their entire lives inside this invisible prison because the lie convinced them it was safer inside. But safe doesn't satisfy, safe doesn't stretch you, safe doesn't fulfill your destiny. The lie promises to protect you from pain, but what it really does is protect you from growth. And in the end, you'll realize you weren't protected, you were prevented. The enemy of greatness isn't failure, it's false security. Failure doesn't kill dreams. Failure teaches, failure refines, failure strengthens. Some of the greatest people you admire only reached their heights because they failed over and over again and learned what most people were too afraid to face. But false security, that's a silent killer. It convinces you that if you just stay where you are comfortable, predictable, safe, you'll be fine. It tells you, at least you won't lose anything. At least you won't get embarrassed. At least you won't risk looking foolish. But in that false sense of safety, you lose everything that matters. You lose time, you lose growth, you lose the fire in your spirit that was meant to lead you into something bigger. Failure can be redeemed. But wasted years in false security, those are gone forever. That's why the most dangerous place you can ever be isn't rock bottom, it's comfort, because rock bottom wakes you up, but comfort lulls you to sleep. And when you're asleep in false security, you don't even realize you're drifting away from the greatness you were created for. Not everyone who tells you be careful is helping you. Sometimes be careful is not love, it's fear being projected onto you. People will say it with good intentions, but what they're really saying is, don't go further than I went. Don't try what I was too afraid to attempt. Don't risk what I never had the courage to risk. And because it's coming from someone you love, maybe even someone you respect, it feels like wisdom. But wisdom builds you up. Fear holds you back. Wisdom prepares you for the journey. Fear convinces you not to take the journey at all. Be careful who you listen to, because some people will unknowingly talk you out of your destiny. They're not trying to harm you, but they're handing you the same chains that kept them bound. If you're not discerning, you'll inherit their limits as your own. Be careful can sometimes be the most dangerous advice you'll ever hear, not because it sounds wrong, but because it sounds right. And yet, what looks like protection may be the very thing preventing you from stepping into your purpose. Wisdom builds, but lies disguised as wisdom paralyze. Real wisdom doesn't shrink you, it stretches you, it doesn't silence you, it strengthens you. Wisdom lays a foundation under your feet so you can climb higher, stronger, steadier. But when a lie disguises itself as wisdom, it does the opposite. It stops you from moving. It whispers things like, wait until everything is perfect. Don't act until you know the outcome. Don't try unless you're guaranteed success. And while you're waiting for perfection, life is passing you by. That's not wisdom, that's paralysis. Wisdom says, learn as you go. False wisdom says, don't go until you've learned it all. Wisdom says, step forward, even with trembling hands. False wisdom says, stay still until you stop trembling. Can you feel the difference? One builds you into who you were meant to be, the other locks you into who you've always been. That's the danger. When fear dresses itself up as wisdom, you'll mistake stillness for safety. And if you can't tell the difference, you'll stay stuck forever, calling it wisdom, when it was really a lie in disguise. Your breakthrough begins when you question the lie, because the lie only has power as long as you accept it without resistance. The moment you pause and say, wait, is this actually true? Or is this just something I've been told so many times that I believed it? That's the moment the chains start to crack. Lies thrive in silence. They thrive in obedience. They thrive when you nod your head and never challenge them. But the second you raise your voice against them, the second you shine light on them, they begin to lose their grip. Think about it. How many of your deepest limitations are things you never chose, you just inherited? Someone told you you're not smart enough, you're not strong enough, you're not the type of person who does big things, and you never questioned it. You carried it like it was truth. But questioning is the birthplace of freedom. Breakthrough doesn't start when everything around you changes. It starts when you challenge what's been holding you inside. Your destiny doesn't require you to be perfect. It requires you to be bold enough to ask, who told me this, and why am I still believing it? That question is the key that unlocks the door. The truth may sound risky, but it will always set you free. That's why it's so hard to embrace, because truth rarely feels comfortable in the beginning. It doesn't always pat you on the back, sometimes it shakes you awake. It doesn't always sound sweet, sometimes it sounds like a challenge. Truth says, step out even if your knees are trembling. Truth says, say yes to the opportunity, even if you don't feel ready. Truth says, stop hiding behind excuses and step into the life you were created for. And to your fears, that sounds terrifying. To your comfort zone, it feels reckless, but deep down, your spirit knows it's the only way forward. Lies will always promise safety, but they chain you to smallness. Truth will always look risky, but it pulls the real you into the light. Think of it, every moment of liberation in your life came after you decided to risk something. Risk rejection, risk failure, risk loss, and yet every time you did, you walked away freer, stronger, more alive than before. That's the paradox. Lies feel safe but kill you slowly, while truth feels risky but brings you to life.